every single one of our major customers and minor customers all shut their doors overnight.
You need the right people in the right place at the right time. And sometimes you have the right people in the right place, but at the wrong time.
I've got to keep going forward. I've got to keep looking for revenue streams. I've got to keep looking for growth, keep looking at new ways of doing things.
But, what's the culture like at the business? What do we stand for, the values?
I've got to tick that box on my personal development program I don't really want to be here.
Scaling up a business isn't easy. If it were, we wouldn't have less than 4% of businesses scaling beyond 10 employees or around £1 million turnover level, and less than 1% beyond 50 employees. But the contribution that we make as owner-managers to our economies is immense and should never be underestimated. Yet it can be a tough gig for all of us at times, and only other business owners truly understand the challenges that we face. And through ScaleUp Radio, we aim to help make things a little easier. We interview guests who have been where you are now and may have faced some of the challenges that you are facing. And they offer their thoughts and advice on what has worked for them, as well as what didn't. And we've also combined many of the lessons from these interviews and also through working with hundreds of owner managers over the last 10 years or so into a practical scale-up handbook that we've called the Entrepreneurial Scale-Up System, or ESUS. And it's for owner managers like you and me as we navigate our own scale-up journey. And you can order a copy through your favourite online book retailer or by going to all the W's, esusgroup.co.uk, www.esusgroup.co.uk. On this week's episode of ScaleUp Radio, I speak to Helen Bower from Adder Bookkeeping. And if you listen to some of the panel discussions that we've had in the past, then you might already be familiar with Helen's voice, but we've never heard about her own particular journey before. Helen started Adder Bookkeeping after doing a degree in languages and then found herself working in exports. In 2000, life took a hand and she discovered a love of bookkeeping, and Adder Bookkeeping was born. And it's clear from our conversation, and I know Helen as well, and she's such a fun, lively character. But don't let that fool you. She's incredibly committed, passionate and professional, and she has her clients and a team at the heart of everything that she does. And as always, there's plenty to take away from this episode, and we covered a tremendous range of things, but including things like, what's the one question that you should ask yourself before setting up your own business? The difference between doing a profession as part of a company and making that profession, that role, the root of your own business, the process that changed the business into one that works only in cloud accounting, and Helen's thinking behind that, and how social media isn't just there for marketing, it can be used for successful recruitment too. And don't worry if you're not a bookkeeper, an accountant, or even if you work in finance. This is a conversation about building a business, and there's a tremendous amount in this conversation with Helen that will help you and your business no matter what industry you're in. So welcome to another episode of ScaleUp Radio. I'm here with Helen Bower of Adder Bookkeeping. So Helen, welcome.
Hi, Kevin. Nice to see you. Nice to be here.
It's great to have you on. And I know you've been on a previous episode as part of a panel discussion, but we've not had the chance before to talk through your particular journey, your story, have we?
No, and I always like doing that. So it's an interesting story. Great. I get to talk about myself for half an hour. It's perfect.
Excellent. Well, there we go. Win-win for everybody. So Adder Bookkeeping. What's Adder Bookkeeping all about, Helen?
Right. So small bit of background. So I'm 55 now. I started life as a linguist, actually. I did a degree in languages and I worked in export in the good old days, pre-email, where you had to phone everybody in French or German. I was doing that full time. And about 2000, actually, the year 2000, two things coincided in my personal life. One was that I got pregnant, and the other was that my husband was made redundant. So he set up his own little consultancy business. And I said, I'll do the books for you. I'll learn how to do it. In those days, HMRC actually used to do classroom teaching things in Worcester where they taught you how to do stuff. And I found I really, really liked it. because it's very perfectionist, but bookkeeping, it's very black and white. I love the fact that it's black and white and you can make it absolutely perfect. So if you've got the type of brain that likes logic and not necessarily numbers, it's not maths, it's more to do with being systematic and methodical, but I really liked it. So I decided to take some qualifications and set up a small business whilst being a mum. A story that many bookkeepers will tell you, actually, because our people don't sort of leave school at 16 and think I'm going to be a bookkeeper. They often think I'm going to be an accountant, and there is a difference. And hopefully we'll get onto that a bit later, because I'm very passionate about bookkeeping as a profession. Yeah. Anyway, digressing. So roll ahead, did some qualifications and set up a small bookkeeping sole trader business, just me, in 2006. And I ran that for 10 years. So this was the days pre-cloud. So I was either on site at people's offices using good old Sage 50, or people were dropping off bags of paperwork to me. Yeah, perfect for fitting around family life. So go forward to 2016. Again, a few things happened in my personal life. So I do think it's important when you think about starting a business to think about if it fits in with your personal life. Because the original decision was because it fit in well with my personal life. Yes. I then made the decision to expand and take on an office and staff. And I did that at a time in my life when it was right for me. So my husband, again, was nearing retirement. He's a bit older than me. He was the main breadwinner still. My son was 16 and didn't really need me like he used to. He just lived in a back cave playing on an Xbox. It's this dark room where the curtains were never open because you couldn't see the screen anyway. So he was living in the back cave with his Xbox. And I actually went, so we're members of the Institute of Certified Bookkeepers, the ICB, and I went to their annual summit in London and was quite inspired by some other practice owners that had built a business rather than just being a bookkeeper as a job. So There's a bit of a difference, I think. Once you move to staff and premises, you become a business owner. Before it was just a self-employed job, and all I did was bookkeeping, really. So I decided the time was right in my personal life to have a go at doing that. So I changed to a limited company and started in April 17 and took on my first little office with one part-time lady and one apprentice. So we're now jumped forward again 5 years. I've relocated. This is my third office now, and we're now a team of 7. So I've outgrown 2 offices. So we're team of 7, about to get our 7th in just over a week's time. And so my really interesting journey is how I went from a bookkeeper, which was a job, to now being a business owner and all the challenges that throws up, which I absolutely thrive on, but isn't for everybody.
No, and we'll definitely explore that. And you've just articulated beautifully the difference between kind of owning a job, if you like, which is what you were before, to being a business owner, really, which is great, and I definitely want to explore that. So right now we've got a team of seven people, and we've got a practice, a bookkeeping practice. And what is it that Adder stands for that you think makes you different, maybe from other bookkeepers that might be out there?
Yeah, so I just briefly about the name, because branding comes into this, and I'll go back to that. If I forget, get me back on track, Kevin. Yep. Many accountancy and bookkeeping firms have really boring names. It's usually somebody's surname. A big apologies to all the accountants and bookkeepers that just use their surname. That's probably fine for you. I wanted something that stood out. So I knew that I was going to take a big drop in income because I suddenly had 2 staff to pay and rent, plus other bills, and I'd got to get more sales quite quickly to cover that. So instead of growing organically, I needed a strong brand. So I decided I wanted something with a strong logo, and I wanted to be some kind of animal, but just because it was memorable. So if someone meets me, they might not remember that I'm Helen Bower 6 months ago. And if they don't, how very dare they? But anyway, they might well remember Adder.
How could they ever forget you, Helen?
Yeah. I was very nearly dung beetle bookkeeping. We sort your crap. I did think about that. So I did have a pet snake at the time, weirdly, but it was all to do with the play on words. So I decided to build a strong brand around Adder Bookkeeping, not Helen Bower. And that is important as you scale up if you want to sell in the future as well. But to get back to what we're all about, because I have digressed, bookkeeping and accountancy. So something I want to say about this, because a lot of people have said to me, why don't you become accountants? I'm purposely not becoming an accountant. So accountancy, when you study accountancy, the first couple of years training is bookkeeping. And then you move on to other things and you may well specialise. I like to use the analogy actually of medical training.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I like to think of the bookkeepers as the consultants that you get in at the top to do this high level stuff. But the nurses are doing all the stuff underneath. And often that consultant who's just been doing heart transplant for years might be really awful at finding a vein and sticking an injection in, for want of a better analogy.
Just to be clear, because I may have heard it wrong. So the accountant is more like the specialist, is what you're.
Well, they should be.
Should be. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and then you're more like,
we're more like the day to day. So bookkeeping is looking after the day to day transactions and numbers of the business. So it's initially a method for recording things. So we're obviously recording everything that happens and making sure that's compliant without getting too technical. We get to know the clients really well because we deal with them daily, weekly, by phone, by email, in person sometimes still as well. Wow. Accountants traditionally often swoop in at the end of the year and just do the tax compliance. Now, a lot of bookkeeping, bookkeeping as a profession, it's quite interesting. I've mentioned the ICB. Prior to 1996, there was no regulation of bookkeepers at all. Okay. So there were no special exams, no compliance. The ICB was founded by Gary and June Carter, who said, this is a valuable profession, we should have an institute. And it's different to accountants. So looking at the market and having been a bookkeeper for a long time, there are a lot of single sole trader bookkeepers on their own. And there are a lot of accountancy practices, some of which offer bookkeeping, some of which don't, some of which still allow the business owners to do their own bookkeeping. Don't get me started, Kevin. That's a whole other hour's podcast. Anyway.
I didn't say a word.
That's one of my soapboxes. I'm very passionate about bookkeeping. So I decided I wanted a bookkeeping practice, which was a large team of professional qualified people that offered an amazing customer service, that people could email or phone and get a quick response. One of the many things I get is, well, I have asked my accountant, but it's been 3 weeks and they've not replied. So I purposely not become an accountancy practice. I could employ accountants, and I even tried it once or twice. That wasn't right. So I wanted to be a bookkeeping specialism. And I'm not unique. There are other large bookkeeping practices in the country, but it's quite unusual. It's quite unusual to have bookkeeping specialists, and it's worked.
Great.
So I don't want to be an accountant. We know the software in and out. We know our clients in and out. We often are much better placed, actually, because we know the client and the business so well, to offer even better advice than somebody that only meets them once a year. So I purposely kind of position myself as being a more unusual bookkeeping practice and not an accountant.
And what does that bring for the business owner? What's the benefits of that?
For the client?
Yes.
Right. Oh, lots of things. Being up to date is one of the main things. So obviously I'm passionate about people understanding their numbers. And some people go, oh, I don't like numbers. I don't like maths. It's not maths. I keep saying it's not maths. Your business is your numbers. Yes, we all have missions and core values and wonderful purposes, but unless we're a not-for-profit organisation or a charity, we're in business to make a profit and earn money. And if you're not on top of how you do that, you're in real danger, in my opinion. Now, traditionally, accounts are looked at the end of the year, maybe even 6 months after the end of the year. So because of the beauty of cloud accounting now, where we can do things in real time, we do people's books every week. So every week, as long as we've been sent everything, the books are perfect and up to date. You then get a monthly set of reports, which is in real time and accurate, enables you to have a better picture up front. Yeah. It removes a lot of stress of not sure whether you're doing it properly. If you're doing it yourself, you don't know what you don't know. Yep. So you may very well not be compliant. The software isn't as easy as it's made out to be on TV advertisements. I did haul the CEO of Xero over the coals for that at an awards dinner last November, actually. So up-to-date accounts, support and hand-holding. We've got, as I said, a team of 7. You've got a client account manager who gets to know you inside out, but a backup of another 6 people who can also help you and talk to you if that account manager is suddenly sick or on holiday. Yeah. So you've got a team of people. And I do love to explain people's numbers to them. So we don't just crunch away the receipts and things. It involves lots of conversations about extra things. What do the numbers mean? What should I be doing about this? So you've got people at the end of the phone who are going to answer you almost immediately.
Great.
2 weeks later.
That's fantastic. And we know that one of the reasons of the business, some businesses don't scale that potentially could do is down to poor financial management and not really understanding the numbers well enough and be able to make good, sound decisions based on what the numbers are saying. So that's fantastic that you're supporting business owners to really do that. So what does your ideal customer look like?
I've got a client who is my ideal person, but without his permission, I probably shouldn't say who it is, but he knows who he is. So I've actually changed. I'm getting really picky and choosy. This is one of my big things that I've learned actually over 5 years. I can remember 5 years ago on one of your smart boards saying, I can't convince some people about the value of this. And I've learned actually that I don't need to convince the world. Yeah. So I'm now picking and choosing clients. So my ideal clients are people who are serious about growing their business. Those are really great because they can really see the value of it when we sort of give them all the information on their numbers. It doesn't actually matter what industry they're in. We've got lots of different industries. I like clients that we have a 2-way collaboration. So a client that ignores us for weeks or months on end will eventually find themselves finding a new bookkeeper. So I do like people that communicate with us and help us to help them. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Yeah. I did make the decision, but again, I used to take everything on. 5 years ago when I needed sales, I'd take any work that came my way. Now I don't. So we've got filter questions now as soon as somebody phones. If they're not in the cloud and they don't want to go in the cloud and they want to keep a carry bag of receipts, we don't even go any further with them. Okay. We became a cloud-only practice this year, 2022. The last industry report from Xero said that only 11% of accountancy and bookkeeping practices were completely in the cloud. And that's going to really, really start changing in the years 24 to 26. The whole world's going to go digital. So we have a filter call, first of all. They're not for us. I certainly didn't do that at the beginning. Then we have a longer discovery call. And if we think we want to take them on, we invite them to an onboarding meeting. So if people are not not in the cloud and not interested in the cloud, then I'm not interested in them, really. But yeah, the best ones are ones that value what we do. Great. Whatever industry they're in and whatever size they are. We've got a big range of size of businesses as well, going up to from 50,000 turnover to our biggest client who's about 9 million turnover. So we've got a big range. Right.
No, good. And how do you, what have you found as the most successful way for you to find new clients?
Right. Nearly all of mine come via referral, client referral or peer network referral. We do get some via the website, but it's not my main driver. And actually, because I've got the clients and the contacts that suit me, they tend to refer other clients and contacts that suit me. So I've never paid for an advertisement, but I do a lot of social media. Now, I didn't know how to do this 5 years ago, which brings me to another point. Outsource the things you're not good at.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew nothing about, when I expanded 5 years ago, I'd never even used social media, apart from a personal Facebook page. So I took a lady on for 6 months, subcontractor, to teach us. She was a social media coach. So she taught us not only the technicalities of how to buffer tweets and things like that, but what content to put out there and what's attractive. And 4 years after that, I actually won the National Bookkeeping Award for Social Media Influencer. But I learned, people have said to me, how have you done that? I said, I got someone to teach me.
Yeah.
I'm not some genius that knows everything.
No, I love the way there's been a couple of instances already where you've outlined, you realised you needed to know something or be better at something, and you taught yourself, or you found a way to be taught as to how to do it, rather than just going, I'll just muddle through or something. You've taken the decision to actually go and do it.
It's not a good use of my time either. I could be doing it wrong. I'm a great one for outsourcing. I mean, IT is really, really important to us, but if something goes wrong, I don't want me or any of my staff to be spending 2 hours trying to fix it. I want to call up our IT support company and go, can you fix this? And it's fixed. Yeah. And that's what clients get out of us. They're not spending 3 hours doing their books. They're just phoning up and getting it done. Yeah.
So just going back on the social media aspect, so what sort of benefits has that brought you? Obviously, it's given you some publicity for a start by winning that national award, which is great. What other benefits has that brought, do you think?
Well, definitely found that people know me now. They usually say, oh, yes, you're the snake lady. Right. But increasingly when I meet people and they go, oh, yeah, Adder Bookkeeping, because it's that drip, drip, drip of seeing something. That's how social media works. And we always try to make it fun and colourful. We use a lot of video. We use a lot of animation. Again, outsourced to a wonderful animator. We all know who that is. Philip Ingalls Waxter. I'm going to say it.
Yes, do.
Okay.
Yes, do. Yep.
So people just notice it and they keep seeing your name. If they've never seen it, they don't know who you are. So fun videos like our Peaky Bookkeepers one that was where we all dressed up as Peaky Blinders. So it does create a brand for social media rather than a direct sale. So I'm not in social media because I immediately expect someone to give me their books. I'm in it to create local, and we're even further than local, really. Oh, yeah, I've heard of her, heard of them. I've seen that. That's that snake. And recently, I'm really chuffed to have a new employee starting in 2 weeks who saw me speak at a couple of my institute branch meetings and found me quite inspiring and has been following me on social media. And she was thinking of starting up her own practice, but she actually answered my job advert and said, I've been following you and you look really fun. And I saw you talk and you were very inspiring. So that is something new I've learned just recently, that I've actually recruited a lady who I think is going to be phenomenal because through that as well. So
yeah, it sounds like it's an excellent example of something that, we don't always think about with social media, is that because we tend to think about social media from trying to attract clients or make potential clients aware of us, but finding potential employees is another great use of it, and putting yourself up on stage in the first place, but then being in contact through social media has led to that, which is great. That's fantastic. Good. So let's go back then. You've given us some great lessons already, and you gave us a little potted history of your journey. So let's go back to that decision then in 2006, wasn't it? When you decided that you were going to be serious about it, if you like, and properly create a business. So take us back there. And you mentioned sort of one of the struggles about you got some overheads and you had to increase your clients as a result. So take us back to that decision and that time.
So I made I made a bit of a bold decision at the time, actually. I don't mind talking about my numbers. So as a self-employed bookkeeper working from home, I was turning over about 24,000 with very little overheads, obviously, apart from a little bit of software and a little bit of stationery. And a third of that work was it was financial. I was working in the public sector, helping people in social services with their money. Okay. But it wasn't very profitable, and it wasn't going to grow, and it wasn't where I wanted to go. So I actually resigned from that work and immediately cut my sales by a third, down to 16,000. So I did we looked at our personal finances. We decided that we could afford for me to take a drop of income whilst I built up sales. And we put a few £1,000s of our own money into it, only about 5 actually. I needed about 9,000 to set up the office and buy all the equipment. And one of the very first things I did was to phone Wychavon District Council to ask if they had any help. And they had what was at the time called a business accelerator grant. Mm-hmm. Through that, Kevin, that was how I met you. Yeah. Because I got half my equipment paid for, which included my website with animation and my social media coach, I may add, that I've already mentioned. And it also got me on smart boards for so many hours free coaching and mentoring. And that's been absolutely invaluable as well, to have a peer group to talk to about it. So I did assess that we could afford to do this. Would you believe a year into this, my husband lost his job?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
That wasn't great. Oh, and before I expanded, we did assess our whole personal lifestyle. And we'd got quite a big 4-bedroomed house in a little village, and we decided to downsize and get rid of our mortgage. So we downsized to a new house in Pershore and got rid of the mortgage. So we knew we could take that less income, because it's a chicken and an egg thing. I couldn't take on clients for another second person before I got the second person. Yes. Yeah. So I actually decided to have this dip in income personally, so that would allow me to have time to build up the sales, so I wouldn't have as much income myself.
Interesting.
And actually, that's not been a straight diagonal line either. That's been up and down in little pits every time I've had to take somebody on. So I've always got a chicken and an egg thing now with capacity.
Well, and you just beautifully described as well that kind of transition from the one-person business to the next stepping stone, if you like, sort of 3 to 5 people. And you'll have that dip. We sometimes refer to it as a valley of death, but you'll have that dip where you will have lower profits. You've got to invest in various things because you're transitioning the business from working quite well as a one-person business to now needing to feed and support and have things in place for 3 to 5 people. And it works the same way as talking with us. Then when you try and transition from there to the next stage of around about 8 to 12 people and so on and so on. But each time we've got to think about how does the business need to look at that next stepping stone and how do we transition from there? So excellent, very good.
So obviously I'm a numbers person, I'm a planner. So I did do a careful plan of this is how much my income is going to drop and how are we going to cover that and how long do I think it's going to take. Luckily, I've been successful and we've always got clients coming out of our ears. But each time I take somebody on, we then take on sales to we're absolutely stretched, which we are at the moment. And then we have to take on another person and another person. So that you do need to look at your whole life. Don't just plunge straight into a business and then think, oh, I can't pay my mortgage. You really do need to think about whether it's right for you and whether you can afford to do it to start off.
How did you make that happen then, going from that? Because that's one of the key challenges for a lot of people that start up their business is how do I go from being on my own to actually getting to a point where I've got a reasonably stable business with 3 or 4 employees maybe?
So I started out finding a small office, which was big enough for 3. I decided I'd have an apprentice because, do you know what? I in hindsight, didn't work out that great. I'm not saying all apprentices don't. That was just my experience. I've actually found it's been worth paying more for experienced, mature people that can hit the ground running than having somebody cheaper who needs an awful lot of hand-holding, who may or may not develop into what you want them to be. That's a whole other topic, isn't it? So I literally decided I could afford to take this hit in income, found a local office, contacted an apprentice company to get an apprentice, and was actually very lucky. I was at an on-site client's where the accounts lady there I'd been working with her for 2 years, and she was about to leave to go to another job. And I said, will you come and work for me instead? So she hadn't got any formal qualifications, but she has now. She's passed lots of exams since she's been with me. So we got our little office. We had a website built. We got a social media coach and started to put ourselves out there with social media. I joined networking clubs, which has been another great to start with. Don't need it as much now. But got myself out in the community a lot, joined lots of different clubs, went to all the chamber events, had a stand at both the expos at 3 counties, which led to some great clients that have spun off into more clients and more clients. And all of that just snowballed and just worked. But it doesn't fall in your lap. You have got to work at it. Somebody said to me the other day, because you're really lucky. And I said, it's funny that, because the harder I work, the luckier I am.
Yeah, was that Sevi Ballester or something like that?
It's a cliche, isn't it? But it is true. None of it was by luck. None of this was handed to me. Yeah. I wasn't given a load of money. I didn't take over something that was already established. I had to build it from the ground up. But branding, website, networking, social media. That's the mix of how I've got clients. As I've got more confident, I have done a lot of talks and things as well. So in the clubs I've been in, I've done talks. I've done talks at the Institute, and I've grown in confidence.
And how what are some of the differences now that you see them, now that you're running a business with a team of people as opposed to being on your own? What are some of the things that are different? It's
not being at the coalface. Do you know what? You talk about the owner's trap, Kevin. So what I was doing before was nearly all bookkeeping and a little bit of CPD training that was always essential. I only grew organically when it was just me at home. I just let things come to me as and when, because it was just a bit of extra income. But then now I've got people's wages to pay. So I've got to be a lot more serious about branding and marketing and networking. So I really did go full tilt at that. But yeah, I actually love bookkeeping, but increasingly, the more busier we get and the more staff I get, the less I need bookkeeping I need to be doing, actually. And although I still love it, because it's my little comfort zone, because I go, I'm going to sit here and reconcile all these banks and ledgers this morning, and I still love doing it. And it is good for me to do some of that because it keeps me up to date with the software and stuff. Increasingly, I need to be doing other things. And as you get bigger and bigger, you need to keep rethinking your strategies. So I've learned a lot from you, Kevin. I do my quarterly plans. I have my projects and my rocks. And one of the main and biggest things that's really important, as has been in my business, is systemizing everything.
All right.
So as well as the branding. So when it was just me and I'd got about 15 clients or something, it was all in my head. I knew all their VAT deadlines. I knew the ins and outs of everything. I could probably have even reeled off all their balance sheets for you, but you can't do that. So many business owners, I hear this over and over again. They say, I couldn't do that. I'm a control freak. Nice. So if you can't let go that control and trust other people to do it, you're not going to move forward. And all you're going to have is a business that is only you, that you're not going to be able to sell either. So one of the main things I've done, which makes a huge difference, is systemize more and more and more and more. So every task, every job is all on a system that gets marked off on a software system, so it can't be missed.
Okay. So when you say a system, is that a bookkeeping practice system, or is it? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, it's a proper CRM for accounting and bookkeeping systems. Okay. But we've got a system for onboarding. So we've got a proposal software, which systemizes when we have client onboarding meetings, it produces a letter of engagement, a proposal in front of them that they then get. I mean, I'm not going to sit there spending an hour a week writing manual letters of engagements on Word documents. So using IT as much as possible to systemize as much as possible, which is great because everybody knows what they're doing. And as long as they're not completely sabotaging your business by ignoring the systems, somebody that was sacked last month, I'll mention no names. If everybody's following the system, they're running the business, not the people. So that is really, really important.
And how do you make sure that people do follow the system?
It's transparent. You can see that they've done it. So our practice software, you can set up the dashboard so it becomes overdue if it's not done. So you can literally see that something hasn't been done. Yeah. What I am aiming for, but I keep getting so many new clients, I never quite get the time. What I'm aiming for is I kind of like to do a little bit, spend some of my time auditing my team. But actually, I've got such a good team, I'm not sure I need to. I thought I might need to do that. But so there's the second thing, having the right people.
How do you manage that? Yes, that's a biggie.
Well, I've just got my 7th person starting, but there have been another 4 that have come and gone. Right. Different reasons that were not right. One of them just didn't have the right attitude, didn't join in with the culture and didn't, was a bit of a maverick. Another one just was just too slow and didn't develop, and I gently encouraged them to move on to other things. Yeah. Another couple actually were accountants who said they were happy to do the bookkeeping. Didn't work out for one reason or another. So it's the technical ability, but much, much more important for me is the person. So we've got a great culture here. We're very female, but we've got a really supportive, friendly atmosphere. We've got great banter. We laugh all day. We share and collaborate all day. We do our daily huddles, which is another thing I've learned from you, Kevin. And here's something new I'm just going to throw in while I think about it. This was a whole new management tool that I developed on my own that my coach told me was a really great idea. So at one of your ScaleUp clubs, I think it was, I mentioned the people keep coming back to me because I'm the owner. I keep, not just the clients, but the staff would keep referring back to me. And actually, I was mothering them a little bit, and it wasn't empowering them to look after it on their own. And the other thing was I was getting constantly interrupted, which made it very difficult to do anything. So somebody suggested I read a book called The 1 Minute Manager Meets the Monkey. Yeah. So it meets the monkey one. Yeah. So the monkey is an analogy of a task or a job on your back that you need to do. And if you're a people pleaser, which I am, you become a monkey picker-upper. So you keep taking everybody else's monkeys off their shoulders. So what my staff were doing often was going, can I just ask you this? I think it's this. And their monkey was starting to jump onto my shoulder. Yeah. So I've developed something which I call monkey business. Okay. So twice a day, at 11:30 and 3:30, an alarm goes off on the phone, and we have daily monkey business twice. So my staff have all got a monkey notebook. I stuck pictures of monkeys on it to make them look fun. And the monkey was appropriate to them for one reason or another. Oh, I see. Right. So they've got a stage 1 monkey, which is, I actually don't know what to do about this. I need to run it by you. And they've got a stage 2 monkey, which is, I've thought about how I need to deal with this and I've done it, but I just want a little bit of reassurance. Brilliant. So they get me, I go around to all their desks individually twice a day and go, have you got any monkeys? That has really reduced the distractions and the interruptions. And what I've increasingly found is they've got less and less and less monkeys because they've started to say, I did have one, but I've dealt with it. Brilliant. So they're having more of the second level of monkey because they've thought about it beforehand and they maybe just wanted to be reassured to start with, but increasingly they don't even really need that bit because not many monkeys nowadays. I'm mostly going around the office at monkey business time and they're going, no. Okay. So I do a monthly monkey as well.
All right. So I think that's a really nice idea. I knew you did the monkey business. I didn't realize you split it quite that way, because what you've just described there is a really nice way of transitioning people from asking, what do I do, boss? Whatever, which, as you say, is just transferring the monkey to you, to thinking about it beforehand, coming with some solutions, which we've heard about. That's the typical management advice is, don't come to me with problems, come to me with solutions. Or what would you do in my shoes, which are all great things. But kind of what you've done is you've done it in a very nice and gentle way for them to move themselves on their own, essentially, through relying on you, being dependent on you, to being a bit more independent, and now, really being properly independent. But you haven't completely gone, just deal with it. You're still there, which is great.
And you know what? They nearly always know the answer, and they're always right when they run it by me. I'm like, you didn't need to ask me. It's fine.
So you've got a couple of other little foibles, if you like, that you do with the office, haven't you? What do you want to give us a couple of those?
We've got a few little funny things. We also have a monthly monkey, by the way. So that's when they get to sit down with me separately on their own every month for an hour or however long it takes.
Okay.
Which I wasn't making time for. Because I wasn't making time for it, I was getting interrupted. So every member of staff gets a monthly monkey with me now. Sometimes it's half an hour, sometimes it's 3 hours to do with, anyway. We've got all sorts of stuff. So I've just, actually 3 weeks ago, I watched a program about back pain, and we're all sitting at our desks all the time, aren't we, getting neck ache and lower back pain and stuff. And we're so busy, we forget to move. So what we do now, this is very girly, Kevin. I don't know if men would do this. Oh, that's a bit sexist of me. But anyway, when the alarm goes off for monkey business, we actually put a soundtrack on, either a dancey one or a slow, stretchy one, and we all dance for 5 minutes, 3 or 4 minutes twice a day. Brilliant. You can dance or you can do stretches, but we all stand up we've got a bit of space at the end of the office where I've got room for new desks when I take people on. And we have a 5-minute movement session twice a day. We've got that.
Lovely picture painted in my mind now. Yeah. Yes.
We've got a BS button, which I bought from Amazon, a big red button.
Okay.
And clients give us BS, which we hit, and it goes, wow, wow, BS alert. We've got a rather rude bucket. Yeah. Which is the it bucket.
Yes, something that rhymes with bucket that we probably shouldn't say on the radio.
So we ceremoniously put people in there if they're causing us stress. I've got a big scythe on the wall for when I ceremoniously sack clients, because I won't have clients upsetting my staff. My staff are much more important than my clients. So if anybody upsets my staff, they're out. Yeah. It's very rare, to be fair. It's very rare, but yeah, they do. If they're really bad clients, they get the chop. So yeah, we've got a dressing up box as well for all our different social media employees, where we dress up as Peaky Blinders or
oh yes, I've
superheroes.
Is
another one. We dress up as superheroes. So yeah, we've got quite a few little idiosyncrasies.
Good. So I hope anybody listening is getting a feel for the kind of culture that Helen's created.
It's great fun. We have great fun. We keep sitting there laughing all day going, bookkeeping.
So if anybody would like to come and work at Adder Bookkeeping,
yeah, qualified bookkeepers, always open. Doors always open.
Oh, good. So let's if you were to go back now, maybe to choose whatever time period you'd like, really. But if you to go back and give a bit of advice to the younger Helen, what would you do differently, or what advice would that be?
Right, when I expanded, don't value yourself more.
Right,
mainly, don't make your prices were too low. It's okay. Let's talk to Helen 5 years ago. Just because you need lots of work, you've got staff to pay, doesn't mean you should take on everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You need to assess what's right for you and right for your business, and that kind of client isn't right, so don't take them on. And I only now use certain software. I had to I took on a franchise that I had to get rid of them all 6 months ago because their software was so awful. It was all a question of my big thing was me trying to fit in and please everybody else. I don't do that now. This is me. This is how we work. You fit in with us. If you phone us, we're going to decide if we want you.
Right.
That comes with confidence and experience. I didn't have that to start with. Second point was I should have got the CRM and the system thing quicker than I did.
Right.
I spent a year with ridiculous spreadsheets trying to do it all manually. So I should have done that earlier. Some things I did right. The outsourcing was right. Not taking on people who aren't right. I've never knowingly took somebody on that I didn't think was right, but a couple of times, like I said, I've taken on accountants who've said they were happy to do the bookkeeping. Be much more, really think about the type of person you want in your business, not only as a client, but as a member of staff. And don't take people on too quickly because you're too busy.
Mm-hmm.
So don't take your time over getting the right person. So when I had the apprentice, there were 3 and I got the best of the 3, but I was never overly, anyway. I should have just said, you know what? None of these 3 are right for me. So I should have taken my time over hiring, systemized quicker and valued myself more. If I'd have put my prices up 5 years ago to where they are today, I'd have been making a lot more money by now. But some of this is down to amazing coaching as well. I'm not some genius that makes it all up. I read a lot of books. I watch a lot of videos. I have a lot of coaching. So get other people to help. Don't think you know everything. And also, one of the things I didn't consider all the extra to the bookkeeping stuff I would have to do. As it happens, I've loved it, but that's not for everybody. So really think about this. If you're going to expand, you're not going to be just building websites or whatever it is that you do, or fixing toilets, even if you're a plumber. That's the job. And if you're going to have a team of people, you've got to think about strategy, marketing, the team of people themselves. All these other things are going to take up your time. So you can't, I say you can't. If I just sort of decided I'm just going to do bookkeeping, if I'd sat here for 5 years and all I did was bookkeeping and I didn't do any of these other things, I wouldn't be where I am now. And I want to sort of do less and less bookkeeping, even though I love it. So I can do even more systemizing and strategy planning, which is great fun. It's great fun.
Brilliant. I hope people listening are really, really thinking about what you're saying here, because there's some really good thinking going in here. All right. So Helen, so some really, really great things there. So what does the future hold then for Helen and for Adder Bookkeeping? Right.
Well, I have got an exit strategy and I decided on this. So 2017, expanded the business. I was 50. I've got 10 to 12 year plan. It's not precise down to the exact date, and it's to sell the business.
Okay.
So that's going to be my pension, hopefully. And then I will be swanning around, hopefully, the Caribbean and the Mediterranean. So I am specifically building a business that I want to sell. Because of that, I am trying to, I know I've got sort of 10 to 12 years, I'm going to remove myself more and more. And then I already am doing that so that the business runs without me. Because if the business can't run without me, who's going to want to buy it?
Yeah.
And so I've always got my eye on that. And as I go forward and I get more and more bookkeepers, I will do less and less of that so that it's completely systemized. And I will start putting a hierarchy in place as well. At the moment, I can manage my small team and I'm in the same room as them. But as I grow, so my vision is that I will get to 10, 11, 12 employees. Mm-hmm. I will need, I'll put a manager in between me and them. So I can withdraw more and more. And then I might do a kind of overlap for a year or two, when I go part-time or I come in as a consultant, but I have got a specific end game to this. So do you want to buy it?
now or in 10 years' time, yes. Brilliant. And well, on that, what kind of acquirer might you be looking for?
Some of my staff have already expressed an interest in buying it off me. They're younger than me and they've got young children. And we've kind of worked out that some of them will be in the position I was at the time I want to retire, roughly. So they're going to get first refusal if they can afford it.
Very good.
But I would imagine an accountancy practice who wants to grow and wants a complete bookkeeping arm would be interested. Do you know what? If I was 30, I'd be thinking about how to franchise it in the future as well. But I think I'm too long in the tooth to go that far. But who knows?
Yes, you could trademark things like it's bucket.
If it's systemized enough, you could sell franchises, which is what you've done yourself, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd imagine another bookkeeper or accountant, but I think it'll be my staff, which is great because look how on board they are with helping me to grow it and build it.
Yeah, it's perfect. No, it sounds like you've really got the team working very well together, and that would be. It sounds like a great plan, a great place to try and get to. Fantastic, Helen. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.
Good. So, a couple of questions just to wrap. I could talk to you for hours, Helen. But
I could go on for hours actually, but let's not bore everyone today.
But any particular apps or software tools, you've kind of hinted at a couple already that you found have made a big impact on your business?
They're all accountancy based actually.
Right.
But yeah, Xero, QuickBooks, Dext recently now, a CRM, something that does all your proposals and letters of engagement. All the ones I use are specific to my industry, but there must be other ones that are specific to other industries.
Indeed.
But yeah, don't spend hours doing manual things, systemize it, but also maintain, don't be robots, because although we systemize everything, it's very important to have that personal friendly touch as well and be a person. So I would never want to become a production line. It's finding a balance between when you get bigger, being a production line and maintaining that personal service and that friendly, approachable culture that I love to have, balancing that against everything being systemized.
Well, and I think I think James Ashford, I love
James.
You use Go Proposal, don't you? So
it's amazing.
So I think he puts it quite nicely, and I probably won't quite get it quite right. But what he says, people have that thought about systemizing is that we're just going to create a team of robots. Well, it's quite the opposite, because what it does is it frees us up from doing the tasks, if you like, that suck up all our brain. It frees us up to then think about things a bit more and actually add the more value, be a bit more creative or whatever else. So rather than stifling creativity, it actually helps, because it just takes all that weight off. It takes a lot of monkeys off our shoulders, I guess, going back to what you were saying already. Good. Okay. Any particular books, people, podcasts that you've found to be particularly?
Do you know, you've just mentioned my favourite, James Ashford. I've just started his second book, and I've just started your book, Kevin. But I know it's going to be fantastic.
Thank you for that.
Do you know, I need to find time for podcasts. I'm a bit of a book reader because Sundays is my reading day. I either read all day or I do jigsaw puzzles or a mix of the two. I love the 1 Minute Manager Meets the Monkey. Yep. And another one, which has been phenomenal, and many, many people answer this, of course, is the Chimp Paradox.
Yes.
So that's fantastic. Those are probably my favourite ones. But there is so much to learn from the right book. So ask other people in your industry.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Things that have helped them, and do read things, because they're there for a reason. Not everybody's a big reader, of course, but you can listen nowadays. Yeah. You can go for a walk and listen while you're having a walk. Absolutely. And, I can tell from, I know you anyway, but just from what you said today, you're about self-improvement. You're constantly looking for better ways of doing things. You're not just sitting back and just going, well, that's what it is. You're looking for a better way, which is what we need to do as entrepreneurs if we're going to continually improve and make it, isn't it? Great. So I've had a blast, had a really good
good fun time listening to you and talking with you, Helen. If people would like to get hold of you or contact Adder Bookkeeping, and we never painted the picture. I'm sure people got it, but the idea of the adder being the snake.
Obviously my website, www.adderbookkeeping.co.uk. You see the wonderful animated snakes on there as well. That's got all our contact details on. We're based in between Pershore and Evesham, but because we're cloud only now, we work with people all over the country, so it doesn't have to be local.
Yeah, and it's worth a visit to your website just to look at the animated videos on its own. Brilliant, good. Helen, thank you very much indeed for being my guest on Scale.
Lovely, really enjoyed it, Kevin. Thank you. Thanks.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Don't forget to take a look at www.bizsmarts.co.uk to access a great range of resources to help you in your scale-up journey. So that's bizsmarts.co.uk, which is bizsmarts.co.uk.
This has been a Monkey Pants Productions podcast.